Well, he's considered the father of the generics industry after pushing for several crucial milestones for the pharma industry. He is now at the forefront to bring biosimilars into the mainstream. Joining us on the hot seat tonight is Bill Hadad, Chairman and CEO of Biogenerics. Mr. Hadad, many thanks for joining in. Let me begin by asking you about the issue that's top of the mind, the influenza H1N1 virus. Do you think the current stockpiling situation is sufficient? And have you opened up negotiations to speed up the process of vaccine manufacturing?
Well, at the moment, CDC says they have the vaccine almost completed, but I think they're waiting to see the true nature of the current strain, and then they're going to send it out. And I believe that companies are going to, there are some obvious companies, but I'm hoping that they will help companies like Cipla and Ranbaxy and others to have that vaccine developed for the so-called third world countries.
All right, so Mr. Hadad, you're saying that at the moment this is an open situation, negotiations haven't really started as such?
No, it hasn't.
Let's move on now to the big opportunity as far as biogenerics are concerned, specifically with regards to Indian companies like Biocon, and they are betting big on the entry of biosimilars in the US market. What is the sense that you're getting in terms of the legislation actually going through in the US? How soon will we be able to make the transition from the legislation getting passed to actually going through with the FDA?
Well, there are two different issues. The vaccine is for the current strain of the flu. They're not 100% sure what it is, but they have a vaccine for that. That will go into production. There will be no barriers to getting that into the market in the Western nations or the United States. The barrier will be, will the third world countries, will other countries, developing countries and poor countries, be able to get that vaccine? They will not get that vaccine unless they involve Indian companies in the manufacture of it. And they have to do it in such a way that the generic companies have the financing to get into it. On biotech drugs, it will go through the political process. There will be a lot of opposition, a lot of debate. I believe we'll get something this year because if we can't afford universal health insurance with the price of biotech drugs. 40% of all the new drugs, and they're terrific drugs, 40% of all the new applications at FDA are for biotech drugs. And so there'll be a big battle. I think there'll be a compromise. I hope it'll be a rational compromise.
All right, so you're hoping for a rational compromise, but you are hopeful that under the Obama administration, the legislation to allow biosimilars into the U.S. is likely to go through, and that is something that a lot of people are going to be watching out for. But let's move now to the other big debate the pharma industry is grappling with, and that is what is being proposed by the World Intellectual Property Organization, or WIPO. Now, the proposal says that if two countries actually approve a patent, then other countries in WIPO will have to accept it. Now, India is a part of WIPO, but it's not a part of the other of the 11 countries which can actually approve the patent. What does this really mean, and will public health issues actually get sidelined?
Well, first of all, I can't use the language on television to describe that. That came in on April 19th. It was sent in by the United States, and believe it or not, two countries can agree, and they can change your law here on patents and pretty much block out the generic industry. But if they can do it, as Dr. Lula at Cipla has said, if they can do it for medicines, why can't they do it for the courts? Why can't they intervene in an economic colonial way in the way that we had in the past? I think that is another attempt of a backdoor way to prevent affordable medicines to getting into places that they're needed. I cannot believe that the United States, once it's surfaced as the United States is pushing it, will continue.
Mr. Hadad, what is the outlook for the generics business for 2009, and specifically from an India standpoint, how optimistic are you?
Well, I'm very optimistic that India has the ability and the potential to provide the third world with the medicines it needs. I was here to make a speech to the DIA, the Drug Information Association, on access to medicines. And I opened by saying that 2/3 of the world's population is systematically being denied access to life-saving medicines because of the Indian ordinance, which basically prevents those medicines from reaching them. India was the supplier of these medicines to the third world, and they're being blocked. I believe that the government will realize it and make the changes needed because, I'm not just saying it because I'm in India, but the world knows that India provides the medicines that are necessary for the third world, and they're being systematically denied. But I'm very hopeful that things will change under this president and the negotiations with the Indian government.
Mr. Hadad, many thanks for joining in. Appreciate you joining.